this was, and now
What's next?
it's transitioned into its next thing, and now I'm having to sit with.
It's gone. There's a void. Good morning, baby.
Good morning, baby.
Been a while since we
I know. I was
recorded,
gonna
right?
say, literally, I was texting you. I was about to say, like, it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, how's things been outside of the car? I released last week's episode was audio only. And it was the one from our walk, the 777-420 angel numbers and all that. So this one, I know I'm thankfully you remembered the thing I wanted to talk about, because I forgot that. There are always things we want to talk about, but this
This one in particular really hit for both of us.
Yeah, and the timing was perfect. And you just mentioned it on a humble randomly. It was like a brick wall when you threw it at me. So, what are we talking about today?
Grieving creative closure. So when a creative endeavor or project comes to an end, I was sharing with you that I feel like there's this clusterfuck of emotions of that it seemed like we were both moving through these past couple weeks post Underwater Club production wrapping, and there was this sort of malaise and just bizarre middle ground, and grief was what I wound up arriving at over this production that spanned, or preparation for it that spanned about a month or so, and then crescendoed, and then it was over, or the part that involved us was over. And so I went from spending like hours and weeks preparing and thinking about and being in creative collaboration, and then it was done. And there was nothing else to do, nothing else to ideate about on this particular thing.
Yeah, and the way that it captured energy and focus was different and unique. But it was kind of similar for, I guess, you, because you had Becoming the month before, and you'd already been in training mode then too. So you're coming kind of down off a double high, because you went into this immediately after Becoming, right?
Well, yeah, and you mentioned how I kind of had several different emotional journeys. Like, I came off of Becoming, promptly quit my job, and then immediately was welcomed into this project. And so I went from several emotional extremes of an extreme high from the Becoming performance to a very bizarre, dark, mixed feeling of leaving my job, then to another extreme high of like a dream, being a part of a dream creative project. And now that has come to a close, and there wasn't something else on the docket to, slide right into. So it really did create this opening to begin to process all of the things. So like since May, well, not even May, before May, because of prep for Becoming. So really since March, April, just really in an intense preparation container.
Yeah.
And then, reaching July and it being this open space.
Yeah.
That wasn't filled with a particular focal point beyond, navigating, discovering direction for us career-wise, but just creatively, there wasn't an immediate next specific project.
Yeah, like what's up?
Yeah.
What so how did that hit you? Like, was it the first time you recognized this funk, or is this something that you?
It was one that
you'd forgotten about?
Yeah, it was one that I'd forgotten about, because I used to feel it after performances. Like, you spend months to a few weeks preparing for something, and then all of these people you get close to while you're preparing for it, new friendships that you make, and then it's over. And especially if folk have traveled or from other places who are part of the production, they go home, you go home, and that is cute.
It's dope. It's like a little fire truck repurposed.
It reminds me of those little toy cars, those little Tonka trucks.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a Tonka truck.
Yeah, it just brought me back to what that used to feel like, to be like, wow, this is this was a thing and now it's done. And there was this insane energy cultivation and then this release by participating in the performance. And I think it double hit because this was my first performance, walking back into the performance space as a movement artist. And in an incredible way, like I couldn't have imagined or asked for a more unique, original, impactful, and authentic project to re-enter the movement art space.
This was something for artists.
Yeah, and so it was so life affirming and gratifying and humbling to be able to partake in the experience. And then it just really rocked me when it was over because we had such emotionally rich experiences, and everybody involved, Yvonne, Percy, Zeke, you, everybody at the house, Sam,
Wilden came
Wilden, oh my gosh, meeting
dope.
Wilden was out of this world.
Yeah, I appreciated that.
And then the camera person, Chris, I was trying to remember everybody's name, but everybody who was a part of this, in the end, it was just absolutely insane. And just the way that Yvonne, Percy, and Zeke really curated the space, even down to crew meals as we were getting down to the wire rehearsing. There was just so much love and so much intention and passion, love poured into this, that walking away or the closure really did. Yeah, it felt different than I think any other creative project has in a very long time for me. And just for it to have been so fulfilling and so incredible, it just left this sort of like, not even left, but created this sort of like grief of like, wow, this was, and now
what's next?
It's transitioned into its next thing, and now I'm having to sit with.
It's gone. There's a void. Yeah. And it's funny because when you mentioned it to me, I didn't even realize that might have been tacked on to what I was already processing and dealing with, because I was already dealing with some challenges internally, just kind of looking at effectiveness when working with collectives and having to be honest with myself about some things that were really tough. So that tacked on to this grief that I didn't recognize I was going through. But then when you said it, I was like, oh, I think I'm experiencing that right now, but I've also experienced it in other situations and didn't realize that was what was happening. That's usually after releasing something that I've been working on, any form of art that I've been working on. After letting go of it, there's always this little, if it's a piece that I was passionately attached to, there's this something that I just hadn't noticed before, recognized before, and I realized, that there was a little bit of a black cloud that I was carrying with me that I didn't even realize was in my pocket.
Yeah, and that kind of manifested in both of us kind of having challenge or difficulty sort of focusing on any one thing, or like diving deep or being deeply like focused into any one thing. And then it made sense because we had just come out of a deep focus, a deep like tunneled in, zoned in, and it was one that was so fulfilling that anything else that wasn't of that caliber or in relation to it, I think just felt pointless, just felt like, okay.
It felt like going in a different direction,
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, damn, well, I still don't even have the words for that part of it yet.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, okay, this is going somewhere. This is going where I want to go, and now everything else feels like the opposite. Yeah. And not everything, so to speak, but a lot of it.
But a lot of it.
But I think one thing for me it did do was it reminded me, like, you have the power to keep activities like this going in your world if you just do your part.
Yeah.
So I've been grateful in that, especially since the conversation we've had the past couple of weeks with Grayskull has led to even closer to what I really want. When before I was like, okay, well, damn, things are aren't quite going as planned this year, or as I'd hoped this year, and then realized that I'd overinvested beyond what I said I was going to invest this year. I was in a funk because of that. So seeing that revelation about the funk mixed with these past couple weeks kind of leading to a more positive turnaround in that space that will help me find a way to invest the right types of energy and the right amounts of energy, I think now has been helpful for me. But for you, like, after recognizing it, what has been helpful after recognizing the funk?
You said for me, what has been helpful after recognizing?
Yeah, like for me, it was helpful after recognizing it, that seeing that may have been contributing to my funk with regard to collective work, and it helped push me deeper into my own work. What kind of effects has that had for you?
It helped me give myself grace for the exhaustion I was feeling and also the sadness. It helped me not feel crazy or feel like, okay, am I just like emotionally off again? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, it helped pull me back from a place of deep self-judgment I think I get in sometimes when I can't quite pinpoint what is happening internally. I think it gave me relief to not feel like it was just some ambiguous depression coming back. It was like, oh, it's not ambiguous at all, and it actually makes a lot of sense. And not only was it mentally, emotionally very evocative and beautiful and healing in many ways, but it was also very physically requiring. Like the whole project was very physical for me, completely physical for me, for the part that I contributed. And so I was doing things that I haven't done since, I was joking with you, since I was like 6, 10, whatever. Like, it was very animalistic and contortion-y in presentation. And so that caused me to get to play and dig deep into these archetypes and ideas in my head. And so then to spend so much time really in imagination and play and just raw creative exploration, and with others who are just as deeply digging into that same space within themselves. I think to then be back into a more solitary space and focusing on work that was not necessarily creative in that way just felt like a complete 180, and so just sort of knocked me off the horse, so to speak. And then I think also, similar to what you said, it really let me know, like, oh, my heart came alive. Like, this really is it for me. This is what I want to, what I need to, and if you believe in purpose, like what I am meant to, like, this is just what I got to do. If I'm going to be well and feel fulfilled and live a life that feels aligned and honoring of my most innate draw, like, this is it. And so I think it gave me massive amounts of like compassion for myself, and gave me permission to breathe, to take a beat, to feel the feelings, to appreciate and be grateful for the insane, wonderful, beautiful experience that this.
What are you looking for? Napkin?
Yeah.
I think we're all out.
Yeah, he snotted on it.
Thank you, buddy.
Ooh,
love you
careful.
too. Oh, careful, but have a seat.
You okay?
Hi, geese. Man,
but yeah, so I think that for me, it gave me permission to pause and marinate in the experience, reflect on it, be grateful for it, and not feel like I had to know what was next or shove myself into anything that was next. And then when the idea that, I've been talking to you about and did some voiceover work for came up, it also gave me the permission to say, yes, this is important and you should dedicate some time to seeing this through.
Yeah.
And because this feels like aligned in this moment, do that, because you took a chance on this project, did not know these people, and took a chance to just say yes. to something that I had there's no way I could have known, understood what I was saying yes to. And so without full project details or scope, said yes and became a part of something. And so I think that realization of the grief gave me permission to do the same for my creative projects that I've just sort of been like, oh, well, there's no direct line or connection to them delivering, blah, blah, blah. Like having gotten swamped back into the capitalism side and productivity side of creation, which I do feel like oftentimes harms it so much. And so it was very much a gift of, no, go do this. You need to. And what you've learned about how shit works in your world is when you do that shit, something always happens. The door always opens. Opportunity always shows up. Like something, when I'm in my pocket, when I'm in my authenticity, when I'm trusting the flow, pulling the threads, like shit just always works out. And so it felt like that reminder to just, all right, just take the leap. Just do that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So for moving forward, is it giving you any keys for how you want to move forward, especially knowing that there's the potential for that feeling to come associated to activities? Is there something that you think you might be able to do to mitigate how often that feeling comes, or how intense it may get, or how much it may affect you in the future?
No, I think what it honestly helped me realize is that it's okay. It's normal. I think particularly in the West, we are a part of a culture that does not process endings, death, grief well. And it took me back to sort of my experience when my father passed away, and I just felt like there really was no container and space or methods to process. And so I think it also just encouraged me to, maybe that is something to lean into, is to, instead of trying to skirt it or avoid it, create space and prepare for, okay, after this closure, I may experience some things. So let me have that awareness in mind and create a little space for myself to be able to have that experience in that process. And then maybe even by having that container, maybe that will be what will allow it not to be as intense, long-winded, or as difficult to navigate as it was this time, because I'll be prepared for it. And instead of being thrown off by it, then can greet it and be like, yeah, also, you're a beautiful thing. I'm experiencing you because I experienced something amazing. I wouldn't feel these feelings if this thing wasn't so fulfilling and it wasn't so incredible. So yeah, I think instead of trying to mitigate it in the future, I think leaning into it and being prepared for it and welcoming it, because I think it's a part of that yin and yang in life.
Okay.
Sort of ebb and flow.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think in my case, I'd like to see if there's a way to mitigate the parts that don't serve me. So the funk, walking around with a funk, like that's not something I want to welcome. So I think for me, it's learning how to recognize it. Like you said, the containers, to learn how to recognize it, I think is a big part of mitigating the funk. Because it's like,
Well, and I think that's
I know what this is,
and that's what I meant by
mitigate,
and that's what I meant, and that's what I
think.
meant by creating the container. That the container would mitigate the
Yeah.
depth of. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
It's like by being anticipatory of it, preparing and holding space for it would then allow it to not become a funk, because
manage it,
I'm holding the space and being like, wow, yeah, I need to grieve. Let me feel these feelings. Let me have this cry or process however I need to process, whether that's journal, whether that's we need to go spend a couple days at Great Falls or in the nature and just be and be in gratitude and be in awareness of what we just experienced and allow that to usher in whatever's next. And then I think also one of the things that I find, like we used to talk about switching tracks, like intentionally doing something to honor what was just experienced, and then something to honor or acknowledge, okay, now the focus is pivoting to this, so it doesn't just feel like, okay, now I'm just slinging myself into this other thing whilst I still have all of this unprocessed, unacknowledged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dope because I think you're on a similar page to what the next thing I was going to say was, and I think the other thing for mitigation for me is just make sure that I always have projects of my own that I'm passionate about that I'm involved in. And if I don't, fine, cool. That means I'm obviously in the rest period because I'm naturally always playing with
Yeah.
ideas. So if I don't have something going on, cool. But I need to have a better handle on my own projects and responsibilities. That way, even if there is okay, this is done, there's always something that I'm passionate about that I'm spending and pouring myself into.
And I think what I realized for myself, piggybacking off of that, is even if there's not another project or something, keeping my passions or gateways to playing with them nearby. Like having the paint supplies made a difference for me, and the crayons, and being able to just draw and continue to tap into that childlike valve that had been opened. So yeah, I think on top, like you said, having either awareness of the creative projects in queue or just the means to engage creatively close at hand. Yeah, to just be able to, even if it's like, okay, there's no actual creative project, so to speak, they're a way to engage creatively without having to effort to do it.
It's another place where we're in sync again. Because you saying that made me realize, like, yeah, I took a moment in the past couple weeks or 3 weeks to really set up the booth in a way that felt right inside. Whereas before it was just kind of all the stuff is in the booth and I'll get to it.
Yeah.
But when I went to go use it for the first time this time, I set it up so that all I got to do is walk in there with the laptop, plug it in, and I throw on the headphones and I'm recording. Like that has made all the difference in the world. Because I think in my head, when it comes to recording, normally it's like, okay, I have to do a whole bunch of things to get started and get ready to record.
And that
Now
deters the process.
Yeah, that stops. That usually kills everything. And it's like, okay, I'm not doing it. But I've been noticing over the past week, and this kind of nodded the last week, a follow up to last week's conversation too, when we were talking about whether the 420 plays a role. Like I've been doing the mystical scientist part with that, and like watching where it plays a helpful role, and I'm also watching where it plays a detrimental role. And one place it plays a helpful role is it eliminates that line of thought that stops me from walking into the booth. Like if I hear something I want to work on and I'm and I can feel like, okay, I have an idea, I immediately get up and walk and just go get in the booth and do it now. Whereas before, like even at the old house, I'm like, okay, I got to go down 2 flights of stairs. I got to turn on the laptop. I got to hope the mic doesn't need a whole bunch of tuning. Like all that stuff has been eliminated. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful. Now I just got to get the green light from Q and make sure my vocals are coming through clean because the recording chain he set up, for some reason the laptop screwed that up. But we talked through that and he said he thinks he's gone through the problem before. And we may be able to fix it on mine so that I get my vocal chain right again. But yeah, I think, like you said, though, having your tools available definitely is helpful because part of the reason that the funk, I think, comes around is because of the rumination, the thinking about the experience, reflecting on the experience, and then thinking about the fact that it's not there anymore. There's not something else there to take its place, or that's fulfilling in a similar way, or fulfilling a similar need. How about that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it sounds like you do have the some solutions to at least not letting it become debilitating or crushing. I think that was the big ask. But glad you recognized it. Glad we get to talk about these things. And I don't know what I would do if I didn't have somebody to talk through these things with. So
yeah.
thank you, beautiful.
Thank you, baby.